In some circumstances, a human can engage in an unplanned action at a time that is never considered to bring any obligation to that action. In most cases, this situation may spring up when the targeted human is encircled with outrageousness. We used to familiarize ourselves with this assertion: anger is a loss. Anger outputs damage. Now, in this vivid tragedy, it is being justified that anger is not a loss. Anger is beneficial. I repeat, in essence, anger is a profit. How? Let's witness part of a tragedy that has happened in some tenancies. A house is vital to any human. Some humans dwell in their houses, others live in buildings of their employers. But, humans do shift from one location to another. Unfortunately, we do not accompany our houses when we move. This is usual, and this is also the point where tenancy turns into value. Some tenants dwell alone, without the physical presence of their landlords in a building. Some occupants live together with their landlords or landladies. Yes, our today's tragedy focuses on this second kind of tenancy. In this category of habitation, some tenants live with their landlords in a well-disciplined fashion. Also, some tenants dwell with their landlords or landladies awkwardly. Moreover, there may be disputes among tenants themselves. The fountain of disputation in this category of tenancy may be unpredictable. But, mostly, conflict arises from the usage of resources that are shared among tenants. These are like a toilet, a kitchen, a veranda, electricity, and water utility. To avoid these kinds of tragedies, sometimes, a single tenant may opt to occupy the entire house alone. However, the conducive environment for this kind of tenancy is very limited and normally, not so amicable. Usually, the environment permits a single house or building to be mapped with several tenants. Moreover, tenants and landlords that dwell in a single house, is the situation that traps many tenants. This situation is very rich in entertainment when you only hear it from your neighbor. But, when you get a chance to become part of it, you will perceive it as tragedies that output anger. As it happened to our featured human. This human proved failure to withstand them due to excess anger that was triggered by tragedies and, assigned to this human. That outrage was activated by the accumulation of tragedies that were faced in each tenancy the human attempted. Yes, this human tried to tenant in 9 houses which were found in 3 distinct regions. I say, the human was fortunate if not unfortunate. After all, in each house that this human tried to tenant, the house owner was also dwelling in it. Due to challenges that the human treated as tragedies in tenancies, anger was released to this human. The intensity of anger that impacted this human got increased until it reached an apex. This occurred when the human entered in the 9th tenancy. Of course, the tragedies that the human had encountered there, are the ones that disciplined our victim to tune us to this model that is in front of us now. In my suggestion that is based on my narrow horizon, I think, this human had some weaknesses. The weaknesses forced the human to gain tragedies in each house that was attempted to be tenanted. It's impossible. How can all 9 houses be not conducive to this human? Of course, some tenants are still enjoying tenancy. We know some of them. How do they tenant? Okay. Let's change the matter. After all, I don't like to extract personal attributes of this human. Let's face what is in front of us at present. This small house that we cite, started to get erected in 2010. It was completed in 2015. In 2010, before its accomplishment, the house owner shifted into this hut emergently. At that time, this hut had only a single room, like this. Soon after occupying this hut, the intensity of anger that was driving this human got decreased. What was done to the remaining anger? The human converted it to accumulating all tragedies that were encountered during tenancies, from the first tenancy to the last one. Hence, the human calmed and opted to document all tragedies that resulted in the building of this entertainment. This human termed the accumulation of these tragedies as the Tenant'S Wrath. Anger was not totally consumed. In 2014, the human converted it to Outrageous Humans on Exoplanet. Although they carry the same meaning, all of these titles were positioned on various websites. Thus, anyone on the globe may read them to know how anger drives a human, similar to a software that drives a robot. As to finalize the remaining intensity of engineered anger, in 2015, when this house got completed, this human opted to write the name of those tragedies on the walls of this house, as we see it. Hence, all neighbors who witnessed peculiar phases that the house had undergone, should know that, this house was positioned here due to outrageousness that was engineered by tragedies and tenancies. Of course, this human acknowledges that, in absence of excess anger, this building could never be positioned here at that time. It was not a plan of this human, but a plan of tenancies, tragedies, and the resulted anger. At the moment, this victim of extreme anger gives thanks to anger together with all tragedies that initiated it. They have accelerated this human to possess a miniature house, as a refugee of a tenancy. That is to pronounce, declaring, anger results to a loss. Perhaps it sounds illogical and outdated. Anger is never a loss. Anger is a profit.